we'll come back at time. So I'll just talk. You know what? I mean, I don't know. I didn't speak to you on at this point. If it goes on too long,
yeah, you know what, like my brother-in-law got a
commercial, and then that'll give us more time. I know once the actual I'll go at least 5 or 6 months. Okay, buddy. And then when you run out of steam, I'll go. Okay.
I think it's a possibility.
Okay. Next week.
Oh, yeah. You know,
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
if you need Miranda, I can give them to her. Yeah. Okay, here, so Miranda is gonna be from,
Here,
right channel, you might wanna adjust that, see if it's actually working.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check.
No, I'll see you guys later. So podium is left channel, Miranda is going to be right channel. Podium is left, Miranda is right.
And just recap all the conversations here.
the bread over.
Great.
The bread over, the mayonnaise, like, stuff like this, the not just like this, like, I'm not gonna do it. That's exactly.
Yeah, I think you probably will like that.
Oh.
It'll feel weird if we go back to it, so.
I feel like my guy just, like, just lessons is like.
Was that weird? Yeah, because that's why he comes up first. I would always come up first, but then. Well, anyway. I found my mic.
Bottom right. Last word on bottom. Yeah. You want it?
Good evening, I'm Jason Chaplin with a special report from downtown Sheriff's Center. Continue right now, we're told, however, major developments have been called for public officers. We're standing in front of the podium at least we're expecting the Minister of Education to give a momentarily to see if you want to talk about these things. Late day, I'm doing the minister comes up. I'm joined by Police Department Transcam, Managing Transcam, just sort of speculating about what's coming out. Is there anything more?
Check, check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, check, check.
Now, and I got an email from the GP which said that they are going to and that is,
BBC reporter.
15 minutes, 14 minutes, so we might have to really front run this, so immediately following the Minister of Education. So, we just have to run downstairs to the second floor, to get the GP statement, because that was probably exactly what happened. I mean, we may be, we were talking about the possibility of a strike. We could have deal
said, there's Spanish spaces, there's many organizations that respect holders that we want to give. But I mean, there's plenty of friends today, they have no idea what they're going to do. And they don't know what they're going to do. So
2 minute heads up, guys.
just to give it a heads up, it's of education. Yeah. So they'll just keep talking here until the minister comes to the podium. 55,000 boys, custodians, early childhood education, all sorts of things that people who run our schools across Ontario. And again, every GTA school board is we can't keep our schools open to student members. There's a few boards across Ontario that have said, hey, we should make members of my show be able to stay open, but the GTA branches. So try to, you just read that news release, you just said
Good evening, everyone. Our government has remained a constructive force at the bargaining table with one mission in mind: keeping students in a safe and positive learning environment right across Ontario. Tonight, I'm proud to confirm that parents can rest easy knowing that our government has worked tirelessly to ensure their children will be in the class tomorrow morning. I'm pleased to confirm that agreement has been reached between the Crown, our government, CUPE, and the school board trustee associations that keep kids in class. This is most welcome news for families and students and workers alike, that schools will remain open across our province. But most importantly for me as minister and for families across our province, it is good news for our students who remain in class where they belong. I would like to thank CUPE and the Trustees Association for being willing partners and for ultimately putting our students first. By negotiating in good faith, all parties have demonstrated that a tentative deal can be achieved with this government. All parties bargained in good faith late into the night and over the weekend to reach a deal that is fair and that is reasonable. And I'm pleased that students will be back in the class on Monday. And I will continue to focus on landing deals in good faith that keep your kid in class. That is my mission, and that is our shared focus, so that families like yours can know with confidence that your child will remain in a positive and safe learning environment. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, I will fight day in and day out to ensure that your children remain in class, to ensure they remain learning, and to ensure they have every opportunity to achieve their potential. Our students deserve nothing less.
Minister Travis Damrush, Global News. I am just wondering about going into these negotiations. Both sides seem very far apart. I spoke to you on Friday. There were some definite sticking points when it came to absenteeism, and there were some things that the union wanted to see. Can you tell me a bit about what concessions the government made in order to make this deal happen?
You know, my long-standing position last Sunday was that we were actually quite close, and I've communicated widely that we actually really got down to a few issues which we were able to iron out tonight. I think what's important for families in Ontario to know is that in good faith, we were able to come together, all parties, and negotiate the outstanding items. I'm not going to, in substance, get into the details of the agreement while it is literally just signed tentatively and must go through ratification. But what I can tell you on issues like absenteeism and others, I actually believe that all parties can leave this deal with a sense of optimism that it remediated or it achieved some of the priorities of all parties. And we have, on that issue, just broadly, strengthened the integrity of the sick leave system and the regime that governs it, while concurrently ensuring it remains compassionate for workers in the province that need it. And I think that type of win-win proposition, the fact that all parties can leave the table knowing they saw some incremental successes, shows that negotiating in good faith could achieve a result that is good for our kids, and that was our mission.
And just to follow up, this is the first of a couple of battles that you're going to have to fight. There are negotiations that have to take place with elementary teachers and high school teachers as well.
Yes.
What would the message be to those unions tonight about their negotiations?
You know, we're going to continue to negotiate in good faith, but I think my message to everyone is if we put children in this province first, if we never forget our duty to them, to keep them in the classroom in a positive state. And I say this, Travis, with especially to children with exceptionalities. You know, we heard so much, especially even this weekend, about many parents who have had a deep concern and anxiety, particularly for kids with exceptionality, intellectual, developmental disability, some autism families. It is for them especially that this was a victory, because their kids deserve to be in class, and all children deserve to be in class. But I think, you know, my message in short to all the parties is by making the students the very center of what we are discussing, we can achieve material successes that both keep them in class, provide that stability that we all want, while concurrently advancing our shared priorities.
Hi, good evening, Minister. There are a lot of parents watching across the province right now. You can give us a 100% guarantee that all schools will be open tomorrow?
The short answer is yes. Schools in the province of Ontario will be open right across Ontario, north, south, east, and west, English and French. That is certainly my expectation, and I believe all schools will be open. It will be a positive, safe learning environment for students in Ontario tomorrow.
Okay. Certainly, it seemed like a lot of the school boards were looking to get as much money out of CUPE as possible because, you know, the grants for student needs, the money that you are transferring to those school boards has been reduced this year. We are going to be in the exact same situation with all of the other teachers' unions, are we not? Because the school boards will be looking for the exact same savings from all of them.
Just the grants for student needs are broadly up across the ministry. In fact, we have increased investments right across the board, particularly for children with special education needs.
But individual school boards saw reductions in their actual transfers from the province.
It will be predicated on population growth. I mean, for boards that have declining population, that may be true. Certainly for boards with increasing population, the opposite could be true. I think what is important is overall, we're putting more money in the system. And you are right, we do have many more negotiations to go. That's why I think demonstrating a constructive focus on getting deals is what is important. And I appreciate, you know, that there could be a lot of, difficulty. It could be tough in these rooms and in the environments that we operate in. But at the end of the day, notwithstanding the difficulty or the adversity of the process, we achieved a result that families want, which is stability. And I think they deserve that. Carry on. Sorry.
Hi there, Minister. You mentioned the handful of negotiations is still to come. Do you think that the future negotiations will be as challenging as this one?
You know, I think all negotiations come with inherent challenges. Look, for the government's perspective, we're advancing the interests of students. For our colleagues and partners in the union, they're advancing the interests of their members. And of course, for trustees, they're advancing the interests of boards. We have sometimes competing, but often aligned interests. And I think through this deal, what we demonstrated is if you put students first, like this is not, just some platitude. It really is manifestly demonstrated when we sit down and look at what are the issues that divide us, quote unquote, and remind ourselves who we serve. 2 million young people in Ontario that ought to be learning in a positive, modern, safe environment. When we do that, I think sobriety sets in. We get back to the table as we demonstrated this week, and with the parties in good faith get a deal. So I think there's a pathway forward for all tables. I appreciate there will be difficulty. And the angst parents felt, I think, really concerned me. I really feel for them that they had to wait to this point. And I understand for many folks out there, particularly for families, one-income families, one-parent families, for children from underrepresented groups that may have additional pressure points. I don't want them in this position at all. And I'm just happy that we were able to provide some predictability, albeit at 9 o'clock at night, but provide them with some certainty that they deserve so that their child tomorrow could be in class. And that is a message that I'm sharing with all of our partners, and I look forward to continue negotiating with them in good faith to get deals.
one of the main sticking points was the sick leave policy. How much will that cost the government going forward?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we were able to build out a plan, find common agreement that maintains that actually strengthens provisions and the integrity of the sick leave system while concurrently ensuring it is compassionate. Those details, may come out in the coming days, but I think for today, given that we have just literally the ink is not even dry on the paper, literally. I think the focus is that we've landed a deal, we've done it within our mandate, and I think for all parties, to be fair, to the union and to the trustees, and certainly for the government, we could all leave this deal knowing we've achieved some incremental success, and that is important for the students of this province.
Minister, if things were so close last Sunday, why did it take until basically 7 days later to get to where we are tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously, to my earlier point, I obviously shared that angst that families felt over the past days. We've said, to be fair, including under show, that I stand ready to negotiate at any time last week. At the end of the day, I mean, opposed to looking too retroactively at this point, we've got a deal, and kids in Ontario are going to have stability. So I want to look forward to the next deals and how we could, the lessons learned from here, how we remain focused on kids, how we ensure that their priority and their health and their safety remains a singular priority. So while I obviously would have preferred, quite obviously, to get a deal before Sunday evening, while I have offered additional dates last Sunday and preferred we got a deal then, the fact is we got a deal tonight. And I think that is an important outcome, and I know families in Ontario will certainly be the beneficiaries of this, because they ought to know with confidence that their child will be learning today, tomorrow, and every day over the coming months and years.
So effectively, in your answer, you're sort of implying that CUPE is the reason that it took this long to get to today, because you're saying you were available 24/7. I've heard you say that time and time again. So it's CUPE that took so long?
What I'm simply noting is that the government stood ready to negotiate at all times, literally 24/7, happy to meet at any day, including last Sunday when we offered through the mediator additional days. But as I say, today's really not about that, pointing fingers. I think at the end of the day, the mission is to note that the union, in good faith, and the Trustees Association and the government, as as different as we may have been, or ideologically, or our issues, profiles that we cared about, came together, sat at a table, locked ourselves in a room, our negotiators through the weekend, and got a deal. And that is what parents deserve. They deserve to have that predictability. They ought not be in this sort of the cyclical reality of having that insecurity every 3 years. And that is why I felt so compelled to return, get a deal that is good for families, and ultimately keep children in the class of the province of Ontario. And I will take your final question.
Thank you. Minister,
Okay.
We talked about this on Friday, and a lot of parents probably have this question, because you said they deserve predictability, they
Yes.
don't deserve this kind of cyclical, up in the air, do we make lunch, do we not make lunch? Why are teachers and teacher unions, why are they not considered an essential service?
You know what? I know governments across party lines have contemplated that. That is not my focus today. I value educators and education workers. These folks work hard. Some of them are my family. I know they mean well about our kids. They provide, just foundational knowledge when it comes to nurturing the potential, and we respect them. But that is not a policy priority for the government. The priority of this government and of myself in my capacity as minister is to land deals to keep them in the class so that they continue to learn in a positive space. And today we've achieved that objective.
But Minister, transit workers in Toronto are considered an essential service, so that riders can get to work and school and everywhere every single day without having to worry about that. Don't students deserve to be on that same plane?
Yeah, as I say, I mean, students deserve to be in class, which is where they're going to be tomorrow, and I think that is a positive outcome for people in Ontario. Thank you so much.